Hello, my love. Good, good. I am recording a live cast right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, talk to you.
Yeah, no, I texted you, but it's no problem. It adds character to these kinds of
I
things.
didn't see it.
No, it's fine. Okay, so we're going to add Google Analytics, and I talked for the first time for all of this. It's going to create. We're going to be creating a Google Analytics. Oh yeah, create property details, and fill that in. Create a universal Google Analytics property. I believe I answer yes to that. For enable advanced measurements. I'm going to keep it simple for both Google Analytics 4 and Universal. I'm just going to make it a universal property only. I haven't really gone into this much before. So my website URL, it's going to be limited to S. I didn't really set that yet, but it might be ready for that step over here in GitHub Pages. That's this click right here. And it is. It's not always ready for that right away, but at some point it does become ready for that. And so now I can, with a lot of certainty go website URL, what's a metaphor.io, one of the most creative domains I've ever used for any site ever. So, these sort of decisions, I don't know. I mean, I've done non-universal in the past. I've switched things over to universal. I'm just sort of, I guess, diversifying. It doesn't cost anything more. Enable advanced measurement for Google Analytics 4 property. See, if they don't charge you for it, that seems like you're getting more for free. So I'll do that because I got to keep my hand in pretty much everything. They're like, oh, well, what does it look under Google Analytics 4? I'll be like, oh, I'll go look. And I do believe that there are two different APIs right now. If I were to open a new tab and go Google Analytics API Explorer, because there's always some API Explorer built in. This is a general thing. I'm not looking in particular for the Google API Explorer. I do know it exists, but I would look for these things in general in these sorts of projects. And then you would see the kinds of interfaces they provide in those explorers. That's not the page I'm looking for. There's one that actually, it's a UA Query Explorer. Here you go. You switch between UA and GA4 for putting ad hoc queries together against Google Analytics. So if you want to be able to test it both of those two ways, I guess you need that checked. And so I'll check it. I'm making my new property. It's small. This is one of my personal sites I'm just doing on the weekend for enjoyment and pleasure. How do you intend to use Google Analytics? All that apply. I don't know. I just choose the small company thing. And now terminology is different than it used to be, and you got to be careful in what you're doing. However, there is code given out here somewhere, global tag, and I believe it's that. And then there's also the Google Tag Manager, but this global tag I'm going to pick up from here. You can just hit this copy thing, and over here in Vim you'll recognize it as the stuff that's really already in there. So one of my habits in Vim is to do this sort of thing so that I know I'm looking at correct before and afters. So I have my thing in my copy buffer, so I paste it here into Vim, and then I get rid of characters that I automatically accidentally typed, and then I indent it to the right level to look good with the code, and then I get rid of the old one here. And so now this site is being sort of born with the correct Google Analytics tag in place. And of course, this title tag is not currently correct. This is not the Mike 11 at 11, Mike at 11 site, but this is rather the what's a metaphor. And I'll put the domain here too because it's really cool. What's a metaphor.io? And there is this occasional convention of these vertical pipes. And I'll put that in, what the heck. Google from time to time has like inserted that sort of stuff automatically, I believe. So I'll follow their convention. It's good to see the, branding or keywords of the site, plus the domain of the site and the title tag. We let things know our encoding early on, various little things. That's mostly inserted. What you're seeing here is mostly what's inserted by this particular template of the GitHub IO system. So I am in _layouts, I cd ... I git add the whole layouts directory, so _L tab, and with an asterisk after it, and that makes sure it gets everything inside the folder, in addition to the folder itself. Git status, you'll see a bunch of stuff added, not a bunch, but okay, this is untracked. Git add favicon. I basically have the same favicon running across all my sites right now. Customizing them per site is one of the branding things I'll do. So the main thing here is I removed the header. I'll show you before and after. So most GitHub templates show you very much that these are GitHub pages, and even show you the repo on GitHub if you want to click. Now, it's a private repo on my site, so that button wouldn't work for people. So among the things I do in that file you just saw me edit was remove the header, GitHub header, git push. Now, the moment you push is when the countdown is on. It's the Jekyll system running in the background, creating these static pages. If I were to view source, you would see that that's just a HTML page there. Even with open graph tags and stuff for Facebook, it's really quite sophisticated. There's a whole, blog SEO friendly publishing system underneath of there, which is really the Jekyll transformations that scan for markdown files and then push out the markdown files transformed through whatever process they do into fully formatted HTML files, combining it with things like what was in that layout directory we were just in. And that's a default HTML, which is just one of those template files that these types of systems use. So if I go over here and I do a refresh, if the timing is right, you'll see the banner disappear and it's just hello world. And I did Google Analytics. So in this site, so it was already registered. So the domain was already registered. And so that, I did before you joined me, but that's about all I did. So I added the GitHub IO DNS entries at registrar. I made a local folder, made it Git repo. To that, I added index.markdown and committed. And then at GitHub, made repo of same name, and then took, endpoint, added endpoint to local repo. I pushed it. I set the GitHub pages settings. I added a underscore layout. I think it's layouts plural. Defaults HTML. Yeah, in fact, after I added the set the GitHub pages settings, that included chose GitHub template. And that modified template. I edited default, thought added new Google Analytics code. And what else? Now it's going to be, Search Console, right? So I just did Google Analytics. It's basically there. It's going to be one of my new sites to choose from when I go into Google Analytics. That's basically done there. I got it. This probably a thank you and goodbye out there. Click out of it. I can get out of my admin. I would really go to here. And that's it. It's already selected. That's it. So if I click that, maybe I'll get a default whatever. Oh, it goes back to here. So maybe there's selections that I have to finish. No, it just wants me to formally X out of it. And go to reports, I guess, to get out of admin. So there's not going to be anything there. The site was really just launched, but there you have it. All accounts. On this site, that should be reinforced visually here somewhere. It's not, but we could not be on any other site. This is how you switch between them. Okay, so Google Search Console. There's always nuance. Never want to hit the ad. Good for them for that not being an AdWords. Google makes no money on it, so it doesn't make sense for them to start now, log in. Doesn't make sense for them to pay for ads to drive people to Search Console. So I'm going to be adding a property. And it tells us the different ways we can do it. We want to do it by domain, not by URL prefix. So when your site data gets broken out in Search Console as either a HTTPS site or a non-secure site, HTTP, and then you have your site twice, and you have disjointed non-unification issues, that's because of doing it as URL prefix. So all you do here, especially for an Apex domain, it's super beautiful. You just what's a meta4.io. Continue. It's going to want us to verify, so we copy this. Look how easy it is to DNS verify. This stuff scares so many people, but this is all it really is. I still have my DNS entry up for my earlier step. My DNS entries, of which there are 4 A records that I created, which are all the special numbers for the GitHub IO system. Now we just add a new record of type text record. And that, again, is going to be @. It's another Star Wars joke that's kind of built into tech. You find the @ sign happening twice as a reference to ats in funny places. It's in Vim macros, and it's here in setting hosts. So your host is going to be @, and it would normally be some other subdomain or something. A www would go in there. But when you're doing a naked Apex domain, the same domain you registered, and you want that text record to be bound to text records for that root domain or Apex domain, you put @ where it's hosted at. And there's your text record. And so without further ado, I should have clicked this earlier. So DNS propagation, we would have been waiting for it to propagate. But this stuff is usually blazingly fast. So launching a new website on GitHub IO, registered with Google Analytics and now Google Search Console, it all just takes 4 DNS entries. And we go back to Google Search Console. And then we hit this verify, and if DNS has happened quick enough, there, ownership verified. Go to property, there will not be any data, secured or on this yet. There's usually a few day lag, but now I added site domain versus URL prefix / mistake that a lot of people make now that this domain option to Google Search Console. There you have it. That was what I wanted to do today, and that's what I started out with in my mind as I was making, really, I guess, the entry that came before this one. Control F for forward. So yeah, down here, I was like, it's time for me to get all my SEO tools all rounded up and discussed. And my first thought is, reuse Pipulate. And so this will just set the stage now that I've finished that. As that was a great success. Now use what's a meta for IO to discuss Pipulate pseudo rebasing, sort of rebasing. I'm not really rebasing the code, because what I'm planning to do now is really not so much different than what's there now. And if I were to go on, this video would double or triple in size. So let's wrap up the live stuff here. And to know that some really cool, stupid, let's call it web tricks are coming up. Pick a keyword, any keyword, pick a site, any site, and I will guess your keyword and site. No, not really, but along those lines. And that's it. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. And don't forget, when you start every day, ask yourself, what's most broken? Where do you get the biggest bang for the buck? And which plates need to be spun? And launch yourself a GitHub IO page, because they're just so easy. There's no reason not to. Master text files, keep it single journal for life, git commit, latest journal, git push, and that stays with you for life, no matter how things change in your life, no matter what twists and turns life may bring you. So long as you have internet, the old school tech tools, you have your journal, private repos in GitHub. So Microsoft managed to get their hand in your pocket again, because they bought GitHub. And for those of us who keep private repos on GitHub, yes, we do have Microsoft guild dues to pay every year, but at least it's not the $600 a year for the Creative Suite, if it's still even that cheap. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe.